G'day folks, it's Maro here, and today we're going to be discussing a case about unjustified dismissal and how best to undertake an investigation. In this case, there's a gal, her name's Mrs. Glasson, there's a company, South Pacific Meats. She's hired as a seasonal worker in to deliver some activity for the business, and over the course of time, she's there for a few years, she has the opportunity to train a new employee. And for those of you that have ever trained a new employee, I can feel your heart warming with enthusiasm as we can speak. What you need to know is that, as you can imagine, the training process does not go smoothly. Depending on who you ask, and in this instance, in the first instance, we'll be asking for the employee Ms. Glasson's opinion, the employee that she's training is not very helpful. Doesn't listen so well, doesn't follow instructions so well. In fact, there are a few occasions where she complains, she says he's not following instructions, she says he's not taking on board the lessons, she says that he's not prepared to change up roles in the site, which is a standard practice for the workplace. She makes a few complaints, she talks to some people, she engages in a relatively long-term conversation about this behaviour, and according to the facts, it appears that the employer does not engage back fulsomely on the issues raised. Some time passes, and we discover a complaint made against Ms. Glasson on the basis of her treatment of the said employee. Now, it starts out being a conversation about the fact that she's shouted at this person and potentially said some things that we can't repeat here on camera, but as you can imagine are a bit frustrating, potentially suggests that she might hit this person, and then storms off, not really following proper procedure for leaving the site. An investigation occurs. It starts off, this might be a warning type chat. She says, come on fellas, this guy's been frustrating. Go talk to a couple of other people. It's clear this isn't the way you've described it. Yes, I might have been a bit frustrated, but it's all perfectly understandable. On further investigation, the employer comes up with some additional matters that, for instance, Ms. Glasson may have been a little bit more aggressive than we first thought, an allegation that she may not have actually been training the person very well, or if at all, and some further commentary about her behaviour on site generally in respect of this employee. Now, none of this gets put quite that clearly to her on return from that investigatory loop. And in fact, it appears the CCTV footage isn't necessarily looked at, and she isn't informed of this body of work, come material, come new allegations. But in an exciting turn of events, the actual discussion moves from maybe a warning chat to you're going to be dismissed. And as you can imagine, because it's a case that goes to the authority, a dismissal ensues. What I think the authority says here, and the piece of the puzzle that I'm particularly interested in I share with you today, is it determines that the business is a reasonably sized business, it can afford and therefore should hold a meaningful investigation. That this was not that they should have put more of these facts and materials to the employee to consider, they should have provided notes of some of the conversations, and investigated properly by way of looking at the objective materials, like, for instance, the footage. And so the investigation is unsound, cannot be relied upon, and on that basis, the decision, i.e. the dismissal, is equally unsound and cannot be relied upon. On behalf of the employee, there's a recognition of some contribution. Some of that language was a little bit ripe. So there's a 20% deduction in the actual awards, which is sitting around about the $12,000 mark. But long story short, once you reach a certain size as a business, then the proper investigation standard will be something you have to meet, irrespective of the circumstances or the detail or the, environment in which you operate. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, investigations, you've got to do them properly, you've got to do them thoroughly, and you've got to do them transparently. It is, as always, a great pleasure. I hope you guys have enjoyed today, and we'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.